Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to explore the most exciting medical advances of 2024.
Yeah, you could do that.
We'll be looking at the New England Journal of Medicine's notable articles of 2024.
They pick some really fascinating studies each year.
Absolutely. Their choices give a great overview of the breakthroughs that are shaping the future of medicine.
So think of this as your cheat sheet to the year's most potentially life-changing discoveries.
Okay, are you ready to dive in?
Let's go.
All right. First up, we're tackling dengue fever.
Oh, yeah, dengue.
It's a disease that's been a problem for centuries.
Absolutely.
And for decades, scientists have been trying to develop an effective vaccine.
Right, it's been a real challenge.
But now, finally, it seems like there's a reason for real optimism.
There is, and it's called the Butantan DV.
The content DV.
Yep, and it just smashed a massive phase 3 trial in Brazil.
Whoa, phase 3, that's a big deal.
Huge. It involved over 16,000 people.
Wow, that's impressive.
And the results were, well, you could say groundbreaking.
All right, spill the beans. How effective was it?
It was almost 80% effective in preventing people from getting sick with dengue fever.
80%? That's incredible. So for every 100 people who get this vaccine, 80 of them would be protected from dengue.
Well, that's the gist of it.
That's a game changer for sure.
Definitely a big win.
Of course, I know no vaccine is without its side effects.
You're right. There are always some things to consider.
So what were the side effects they saw with this one?
The most common ones were headaches, fatigue, and a bit of a rash.
Headaches and fatigue. Sounds familiar.
Pretty standard for vaccines.
But those aren't too bad, I guess.
Yeah, thankfully they were mostly mild.
And did they last long?
Nope, they usually went away within 3 weeks of getting the shot.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, not too bad at all.
But I know you always like to look at the bigger picture.
Of course, there's always more to the story.
So, are there still some unknowns? Things we need to be cautious about?
Well, dengue immunity is pretty complex.
Oh, I can imagine.
So long-term monitoring is definitely crucial. We need to keep a close eye out for any potential long-term effects that might pop up over time.
Yeah, I guess with any new vaccine, there's always that element of wait and see.
Exactly.
Okay, that's some great news on the dengue front.
For sure.
Now, let's shift gears to a condition that might not be as familiar to everyone.
Okay, what is it?
It's called NASH.
NASH. Okay.
It stands for non-alcoholic steatohepatitis.
Ah, a type of liver disease?
Right, and it's been notoriously difficult to treat.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Until now, that is,
Oh, really? Tell me more.
there's a new drug on the scene called resmetirom.
Resmetirom.
Yep, it's a brand new oral medication.
Interesting. How does it work?
It targets a specific receptor in the liver.
Sounds pretty targeted.
It is.
Yeah.
And they put it through its paces in a trial called Maestro NASH.
Maestro Nash, catchy name.
Right.
So what happened? Did it work?
It did. It actually outperformed the placebo.
Outperformed. That's good, right?
It is. It's a good sign.
But what does that actually mean for patients? What changes did they see?
Well, first of all, it was able to reverse the course of NASH.
So the disease itself started to improve.
Exactly.
That's great.
And importantly, it didn't make the scarring in the liver called fibrosis any worse.
Ah, so it didn't cause any further damage.
Right. It didn't worsen the existing problem.
That's crucial.
And in many cases, they actually saw an improvement in the fibrosis.
So the scarring actually decreased.
Yep. The liver started to heal itself.
No, that's impressive. This sounds like a big step forward for people with NASH.
It really is. It's a potential game changer for folks who had very limited treatment options before.
Yeah, any new treatment is a reason for hope.
Absolutely.
But what about side effects? Were there any downsides?
There were some reports of diarrhea and nausea.
Uh-oh, not the best.
Not ideal, no.
But how bad were they?
Thankfully, most of them were mild to moderate.
Oh, that's not too terrible.
So manageable.
Good, good.
But as always, I know you like to look at the bigger picture.
Always got to consider the whole story.
So what are some of the limitations or caveats we need to keep in mind with this study?
Well, for one, the trial didn't track the patients long term.
So we don't know how they'll do years down the line.
Exactly. That's still unknown.
That's an important point.
It is.
And what else? Any other limitations?
Well, while resmetirom did outperform the placebo, the difference wasn't huge.
So the effects were positive, but maybe not as dramatic as we'd hoped.
Yeah, it was a modest improvement.
Okay, that's important to keep in mind. Anything else?
Well, there's always the cost factor to consider.
Yeah, the cost of new medications is a real concern.
It is. New drugs are often very expensive.
And that can be a barrier for a lot of people.
Absolutely. It can limit access for those who need it most.
So it's a mixed bag, really.
I'd say so.
There's definitely a reason for optimism, but we need to balance that with a healthy dose of realism.
Absolutely. More research is always needed.
Now, are you ready for something that's truly mind-blowing?
Hit me with it.
This next breakthrough deals with the possibility of overcoming multiple food allergies.
Whoa, multiple food allergies at once.
You heard that right.
That's huge. Tell me everything.
It all centers around a drug called omalizumab.
Omalizumab. That sounds familiar.
It's already being used to treat asthma.
Oh, right. So they repurposed it.
Exactly. Researchers decided to test if it could help kids and teens with multiple food allergies.
Wow, that's a pretty innovative approach.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Really cool. What did they find?
Okay, buckle up, because this is where it gets really exciting.
Okay, I'm ready.
The trial, called OUTMAT-TCH.
OUTMAT-TCH.
Yeah, another catchy name.
They come up with some interesting ones.
I know, right? Anyway, the OUTMAT-TCH trial found that omalizumab led to a whopping 60 percentage point increase.
60 percentage points.
You heard me right.
Whoa, that's incredible. What does that mean in real terms?
It means that 60% more kids and teens were able to eat a significant amount of peanut protein without having a severe reaction.
So they could actually eat peanuts without fear of a life-threatening allergy attack.
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
It really is. It gives so much hope to families who are constantly worried about accidental exposures and allergic reactions.
Absolutely. This could transform so many lives.
But before we get too carried away, I know there's some things we need to keep in mind.
Always good to be cautious.
So what are the caveats here?
Well, this was just one study.
One study, right? We always need more research.
Exactly.
And is there anything else specific about this study we need to consider?
Yes, it didn't include kids with very high levels of certain antibodies in their blood.
Those antibodies are associated with severe allergic reactions, right?
Right, so we don't know if omalizumab would be as effective for those kids.
Okay, that's an important point.
And of course, we need more research to see if these results hold up over time.
Yeah, long-term data is always key.
Absolutely.
But even with those caveats, this is still a huge step forward.
Absolutely. It's a reason for a lot of hope.
And it's not just about peanuts either.
Really? Tell me more.
They tested other food allergies as well.
Wow, so is this like a universal solution for food allergies?
Well, it's too early to say that.
Right, I guess we need more research.
We do, but they did see similar positive outcomes for other common allergens,
Like what?
like cashews, milk, and eggs.
Wow, so the big ones?
Yeah, the ones that cause the most trouble.
That's fantastic. So many kids could benefit from this.
It's really exciting.
But we still need to figure out how these changes in reactions actually translate to real-life quality of life improvements, right?
You're exactly right. That's the next step.
It's one thing to see good results in a trial.
But we need to know if kids can actually enjoy a birthday cake or eat a peanut butter sandwich without constant fear.
Exactly. That's the ultimate goal.
All right, let's move on to something that affects a vast number of people. Chronic kidney disease.
Chronic kidney disease. Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It is, and it's especially common in folks with type 2 diabetes.
Right, those two often go hand in hand.
And new treatments are desperately needed.
Absolutely. It's a major health concern.
But there's some good news coming from a trial called FLO.
FLO.
Yeah, they were looking at semaglutide.
Semaglutide. Wait a minute. Isn't that already used for diabetes?
Yep. It's known for its benefits in controlling blood sugar and helping people lose weight.
So they're repurposing it for kidney disease.
You got it.
That's clever. Did it work?
It did. And the results were so compelling that they actually stopped the trial early.
They stopped early. Wow, they must have been really impressed.
They were. Semaglutide was that effective.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. What did they find?
It reduced the risk of serious kidney problems by a whopping 24%.
24%? That's huge.
And on top of that, it also slowed down the decline in kidney function.
So it's a two-pronged attack, protecting the kidneys and slowing down the progression of the disease.
Exactly. And that's not all.
Seriously, there's more good news.
Yep. People taking semaglutide also had fewer serious side effects.
Wow, it's a win-win-win situation.
It really seems that way.
But I'm curious, how is it working?
That's a great question. What's really interesting is that semaglutide seems to be working differently than other medications used for chronic kidney disease.
So a new mechanism of action.
Exactly. And understanding exactly how it's protecting the kidneys is a key question for future research.
Right, we need to unravel the mystery.
Absolutely. And we also need to see if these results hold true for diverse populations.
Yeah, different ethnicities, ages, health backgrounds, all that.
We need to make sure it works for everyone.
That's crucial.
But for now, this is a ray of hope for millions of people battling this chronic condition.
For sure. A reason for optimism.
Okay, are you ready for another exciting development?
Bring it on.
This one is all about a condition called MSH.
MASH? Is that like NASH?
It's similar. You might have known it as NASH in the past, but it's been renamed MSH.
Interesting. Why the name change?
Well, it stands for Metabolic Dysfunction-Associated Steatohepatitis.
Ah, so it's highlighting the connection to metabolic health.
Exactly. And it's a severe liver condition, often linked to obesity.
Oh, that's a tough combination.
It is.
So what's the breakthrough here?
A new drug called tirzepatide is showing some really promising results.
Tirzepatide. Okay, what's special about it?
It's a bit unique because it actually activates two different receptors.
2 receptors. Tell me more.
These receptors are involved in regulating blood sugar and metabolism.
So it's a dual action drug.
You got it.
Pretty clever. And did it work for a MASH?
They put it to the test in the Synergy NASH trial.
Synergy NASH, another catchy name.
Haha, they do have a knack for those.
So what did they find?
They tested 3 different doses of tirzepatide,
3 different doses, okay.
and all 3 were remarkably effective in resolving MASH.
All 3. That's impressive.
It is, and importantly, none of the doses worsened the fibrosis in the liver.
So no additional damage.
Right. The scarring didn't get any worse.
That's really important.
It is. And as for side effects,
Yeah, what were the downsides?
the most common ones were gastrointestinal issues.
Like nausea or diarrhea?
Yeah, things like that.
Not the best, but hopefully manageable.
They were mostly mild to moderate, so pretty tolerable.
That's good.
But, as always, we need to be mindful of the bigger picture.
Right, there are always caveats.
What are some of the limitations of this study?
Well, one thing is that the trial was relatively small.
So we need larger studies to confirm these initial findings.
Exactly. We need to see if these positive results hold up in a larger group of people.
Makes sense.
And it's also important to see if these benefits translate to different populations.
Right. Different ethnicities, ages, lifestyles, all that.
Exactly.
We need to make sure it works for everyone.
Absolutely. Diversity is key.
And there's another crucial point to consider.
Okay, what is it?
We need to understand the challenges faced by historically marginalized communities in accessing this treatment.
Yeah. Access and equity are essential considerations.
Absolutely, we can't leave anyone behind.
Right. Breakthroughs should benefit everyone.
It's a great reminder that the initial excitement of a new discovery is just the beginning.
There's a lot more to consider.
We need to think about real-world complexities and ensure that everyone has a fair shot at benefiting from these advancements.
A fair shot. That's the goal.
Okay, now are you ready to delve into something that's both scientifically fascinating and incredibly thought-provoking?
Hit me with it. I'm ready for anything.
This next breakthrough deals with detecting consciousness in people who seem completely unresponsive.
Whoa, that's mind-blowing. Tell me more.
This study focused on something called cognitive motor dissociation.
Cognitive motor dissociation. That's a mouthful.
It is, but it basically means that even though a person can't physically respond to commands, their brain might still be active.
So it's like their mind is awake, but their body is asleep.
That's a good way to put it.
Wow, that's incredible. But how can you even study something like that?
This was a massive undertaking involving 353 adults with disorders of consciousness.
353 people. Wow. That's a huge study.
It was. And they used brain imaging techniques like fMRI and EEG to peek inside their brains.
Ah, so they were looking for signs of activity.
Exactly. And what they found is pretty remarkable.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me everything.
They found that a quarter of these seemingly unresponsive patients actually showed signs of cognitive activity on the brain scans.
A quarter of them.
That's right.
So there's a chance they're aware of what's going on, even though they can't communicate.
It certainly seems that way.
Wow, that really challenges our understanding of consciousness.
It does. It makes you wonder how many people are trapped inside their own bodies, unable to express themselves.
Ah, that's a heavy thought.
It is, and it raises so many questions about how we care for these patients.
Yeah, how do we communicate with them? How do we make decisions about their treatment?
It's a whole new ethical landscape.
Absolutely. It's uncharted territory.
Okay, let's move on to another area where there's been a significant breakthrough. HIV prevention.
HIV prevention, that's great.
It is. And this particular study focused on cisgender women.
Why cisgender women specifically?
Well, they're disproportionately affected by HIV globally.
Ah, So this is addressing a major health disparity.
Exactly. And the study looked at a new drug called lenacapavir.
Lenacapavir, okay.
It's a long-acting injectable medication.
Oh, so you don't have to take a pill every day.
Nope, it's an injection every 6 months.
That's pretty convenient.
It is. And the results of the Purpose 1 trial were astounding.
Okay, I'm ready for this. Tell me.
Lenacapavir was 100% effective in preventing HIV infection.
Wait, 100%? You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. It was a perfect score.
That's incredible. Is that even possible?
Well, it is now. It even outperformed the daily pill options for pre-repeat.
Wow, this is a game changer for HIV prevention.
It really is.
Yeah.
It could revolutionize how we protect people from this virus.
But were there any side effects?
The most common one was injection site reactions.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
And they're usually mild and temporary.
So, not a big deal.
Not at all. But what makes this discovery even more significant is its potential to overcome adherence challenges.
Right. Taking a daily pill can be tough for some people.
Exactly. But with an injection every 6 months, the barrier to prevention becomes much lower.
That's huge, especially for people who struggle with remembering to take their medication.
It could save countless lives.
But of course, there's always more to the story.
Right. We need to be realistic.
So what else do we need to consider?
Well, we need more research to understand the potential for resistance to the drug.
Right. HIV is notorious for developing resistance.
Exactly. So that's something we need to keep a close eye on.
Definitely.
And there's another big issue:
What's that?
access and affordability.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
We need to make sure this breakthrough reaches the communities that need it most, regardless of their socioeconomic status or location.
It's about health equity.
Exactly. We can't have a situation where only certain people can benefit from this amazing discovery.
Everyone deserves access to life-saving treatments.
Okay, ready for another victory in the fight against cancer.
Always ready for good news in that fight.
This time we're looking at Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay, it's a type of cancer that can be treated effectively, but the current treatments often have harsh side effects.
And there's also the risk of the cancer coming back, right?
Exactly, so there's definitely room for improvement.
Absolutely.
And a new trial called S1826 has provided some very encouraging results.
SA1826. Tell me more.
They tested a combination of nivolumab, a type of immunotherapy.
Immunotherapy, that's exciting.
It is. And they combined it with the standard chemotherapy regimen.
So a 1-2 punch.
Exactly. And the results were quite impressive.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat again. What happened?
This combination significantly improved progression-free survival compared to the current standard treatment.
So people were living longer without their cancer getting worse.
That's right.
That's fantastic news.
And that's not all.
There's more good news.
There is. They also found that fewer people had to stop treatment because of side effects.
So it's more effective and has fewer side effects.
It seems that way.
That's amazing. Could this become the preferred treatment for all stages of Hodgkin's lymphoma?
It's definitely a possibility, but we need longer-term data to confirm that these positive results hold up over time.
Makes sense. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Right, but this is a very promising development.
It is. It gives a lot of hope to people with this type of cancer.
Okay, let's switch gears now to a condition that affects millions of people, but hasn't seen as many breakthroughs. Heart failure with preserved ejection fraction.
Heart failure, that's a big one.
It is, and this particular type is notoriously difficult to treat effectively.
Yeah, I've heard that it's been a real challenge for doctors.
It has been, but a new trial called Fine Arts HF has provided a glimmer of hope.
Fine Arts HF, what did they study?
They looked at a drug called Finernon.
Fine or none. Okay, new to me.
It's a bit of a tongue twister, but it works by blocking a specific receptor.
And what does this receptor do?
It's involved in regulating salt and water balance in the body.
So it's affecting fluid levels.
Exactly.
Interesting approach. And what were the results?
They found that Finernon significantly reduced the risk of both worsening heart failure events and cardiovascular death.
Whoa, a double whammy.
And they compared it to a placebo, so we know the effects were real.
That's huge. This could be a real lifeline for so many people.
It could be. It's a much-needed breakthrough for this patient population.
But what about side effects? Were there any downsides to this drug?
There were a couple of notable ones.
Oh, okay. What were they?
It increased the risk of high potassium levels in the blood.
That's hyperkalemia, right?
That's right.
And what was the other side effect?
It decreased the risk of low potassium levels.
So hypokalemia.
You got it.
Interesting. So it's like a balancing act with potassium levels.
It is. Doctors need to carefully monitor patients taking this drug.
Makes sense. It's important to manage those side effects.
But overall, this research offers a real glimmer of hope for those battling this form of heart failure.
Definitely. Any progress is a good thing.
It's a reminder that medical progress often involves weighing the benefits against the risks.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
Okay, are you ready to tackle another challenging type of cancer?
Bring it on.
This time we're diving into triple-negative breast cancer.
Triple-negative breast cancer, yeah, that's a tough one.
It is. It's known for being aggressive and difficult to treat.
So any progress is welcome news.
Absolutely. And a new trial called Keynote 522 has provided a landmark finding.
Keynote 522, okay, what did they do?
They tested a combination of pembrolizumab, a type of immunotherapy.
Immunotherapy again. Seems like it's having a moment.
It is. It's really showing its potential in cancer treatment.
So what was the combo?
They combined pembrolizumab with chemotherapy,
A powerful duo.
and they gave it both before and after surgery.
So a comprehensive approach.
Exactly. And the results were truly remarkable.
I'm ready. Tell me everything.
They found that this combination significantly improved overall survival at 5 years.
5 year survival rates. That's a big deal.
It is. And they compared it to chemotherapy alone.
So the combination was clearly superior.
That's right. It means more people were alive and cancer-free 5 years after their diagnosis.
Wow, that's a game changer for a cancer that's known for its poor prognosis.
It really is. It gives so much hope to patients and their families.
But didn't you say pembrolizumab is immunotherapy? Doesn't that often come with side effects?
You're right. Immunotherapy can have side effects.
So what did they see in this trial?
There were some immune-related side effects, as is often the case.
So not a free pass?
No, but thankfully they were generally manageable.
That's good to hear.
So the benefits seem to outweigh the risks.
That's the hope, right?
It is. And this study has the potential to transform how we treat triple-negative breast cancer.
Transform. Wow, that's a strong word.
It is, but it's warranted in this case.
So what's the key takeaway here?
This study highlights the importance of neoadjuvant therapy.
Neoadjuvant therapy, that's treatment given before surgery, right?
Exactly. It aims to shrink the tumor before surgery.
Makes sense. So it gives the surgery a better chance of success.
Right. And ongoing research is focusing on biomarkers to predict which patients will respond best to this type of treatment.
That's personalized medicine in action, tailoring treatment to each individual's unique characteristics.
Okay, deep breaths, everyone, because the next breakthrough is truly mind-blowing.
Okay, bring it on. I'm ready to be blown away.
We're talking about gene editing therapy.
Gene editing. Wow, that's cutting-edge stuff.
It is, and this therapy is for a rare condition called hereditary angioedema.
Hereditary angioedema. Okay, what's that?
It causes sudden and severe swelling attacks.
Swelling attacks.
Yeah, and they can be incredibly debilitating.
Oh, wow. That sounds scary.
It can be, and treatment options have been limited.
So what's gene editing got to do with it?
Well, a new therapy called NTLA 2002 is using CRISPR technology.
CRISPR. That's the gene editing tool, right?
You got it. And it's designed to target the very gene that causes this condition.
So they're going right to the source of the problem.
Exactly. And in a phase 2 trial, it delivered some pretty remarkable results.
Okay, I'm holding my breath. What did they find?
They found a substantial reduction in angioedema attacks.
That's great. So fewer swelling attacks.
Yep. And here's the kicker. It's possible that a single dose of this gene editing therapy could offer lifelong disease control.
Wait, what? Lifelong disease control with just one dose?
You heard that right. That's the potential power of gene editing.
That's absolutely mind-blowing. This could revolutionize how we treat so many genetic diseases.
It's a real game changer.
But I know you're always going to ask about the caveats.
Uh-huh. You know me too well.
So what are the things we need to keep in mind?
Well, as with any new technology, we need more research to confirm its long-term efficacy and safety.
Makes sense. We need to make sure it's a lasting solution and that it's safe in the long run.
Exactly. But even with that caveat, this is still incredibly exciting.
It is. It feels like we're on the cusp of a new era in medicine.
One where we can actually correct the genetic errors that cause disease.
That's the dream, right? To cure diseases at their root?
It is, and gene editing is bringing us closer to that dream every day.
Okay, one more breakthrough before we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. What do you have for me?
We're circling back to tirzepatide.
Tirzepatide, that's the dual-action drug we talked about earlier, right?
That's the one. But this time we're focusing on its potential for people with both heart failure and obesity.
Ah, two conditions that often go together.
Exactly. And the SUMMIT trial revealed some very encouraging news about tirzepatide.
Okay, I'm all ears. What did they find?
Well, they found that tirzepatide reduced the risk of cardiovascular death or worsening heart failure events in this patient group.
So it's protecting their hearts.
Exactly. But that's not all.
There's more good news.
There is. It also improved their quality of life.
Wow, that's amazing. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better.
Exactly.
But how did they measure quality of life in this study?
They used a standardized questionnaire called the KCCQ-CSS.
KCCQ-CSS. Okay, and what does that measure?
It measures various aspects of quality of life,
Like what?
like physical functions, symptoms, social limitations, things like that.
So a pretty comprehensive assessment.
It is. And people taking tirzepatide reported significant improvements across all those areas.
So it's helping them function better, feel better, and be more socially active.
Exactly. A win on all fronts.
Now, I know you're going to ask about side effects.
You know me so well.
So spill the beans. What were the downsides?
The most common side effects were those pesky gastrointestinal issues.
Ugh. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
Not ideal.
But similar to what we saw in the earlier tirzepatide trial for MRH, it is similar to what we saw in the earlier tirzepatide trial for MRH.
But did a lot of people have to stop taking it?
Not really. Only a small percentage of people actually had to stop taking the drug because of the side effects.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it seems like most people tolerated it pretty well.
Okay, so tirzepatide really is looking like a bit of a rock star in the medical world.
Haha, yeah, you could say that.
From blood sugar control to liver disease to heart failure, it's making some serious waves.
It is. It's showing a lot of promise in a variety of areas.
But before we crown it the champion of all medications, what are some of the key takeaways from this SUMMIT trial specifically?
Well, I think this trial really highlights the importance of treating both heart failure and obesity at the same time, for people who have both conditions.
Makes sense. Kind of a two birds, one stone situation.
Yeah, exactly. Addressing both issues can really lead to the best possible outcomes for those patients.
It's a more holistic approach, right?
It is. It recognizes that our physical health is all interconnected.
It's not just about treating isolated conditions. It's about understanding the whole person.
Absolutely. And how different aspects of their health impact each other.
I love that.
It's a much more integrated approach.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have. It's amazing how much progress is being made in so many different areas of medicine.
It really is inspiring.
But, as we continue to marvel at all these advancements, it's important to remember that true progress is not just about these fancy new technologies or treatments.
It's about making sure everyone has access to them.
Exactly. It's about making sure these breakthroughs are available to everyone who needs them.
Regardless of their background, their income, their location.
Absolutely. Healthcare should be a right, not a privilege.
And that means we need to address those social and economic factors that can create barriers to care.
Right. Things like poverty, lack of insurance, discrimination, these can all have a huge impact on people's health.
So it's not just about developing new treatments, it's about creating a healthcare system that's equitable and accessible to all.
It's about creating a system that's built on compassion, empathy, and a genuine commitment to meeting people's needs.
I couldn't agree more.
So, as we celebrate these medical marvels, let's also remember the importance of advocating for a healthcare system that works for everyone.
A system that's truly patient-centered and focused on improving health outcomes for all.
Absolutely, that's the ultimate goal.
Now, are you ready to keep exploring?
Always. What's next on our adventure through medical breakthroughs?
Well, this next one is tackling a really challenging and heartbreaking problem.
Okay, what is it?
It's cancer cachexia.
Cancer cachexia. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a wasting syndrome that affects a lot of cancer patients.
Oh, so it's not the cancer itself, it's like a side effect.
You could say that it's a complication that arises from the cancer and its treatments.
Okay, so what happens? What are the symptoms?
It causes severe weight loss, muscle wasting, and intense fatigue.
Wow. That sounds really debilitating.
It is. It goes way beyond just losing a few pounds.
So it's not just about appearance, it's actually affecting their health.
Right. It really impacts a person's quality of life and even their chances of survival.
So it's a serious problem.
It is. And until recently, treatment options were pretty limited.
That's always tough, feeling like there's nothing you can do.
But a new monoclonal antibody called ponsegromab is showing real promise.
Monoclonal antibodies now, those are pretty cool. They're like tiny little warriors, right?
Yeah, you could say that. They're engineered to target specific proteins in the body.
And in this case, what's ponsegromab targeting?
It's targeting a protein that plays a key role in muscle wasting.
So it's trying to stop the body from breaking down muscle.
Exactly. It's like interrupting the signal that tells the body to waste away.
That's brilliant. And did it work?
A study presented at the European Society for Medical Oncology meeting found some really encouraging results.
Okay, tell me more.
Ponsegromab not only helped patients maintain their weight, but it actually improved their lean body mass.
Wait, so they actually gained muscle?
Yep, and their physical function improved too.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's not just preventing muscle loss, it's actually helping them get stronger.
That's the idea. It's about giving people back their strength and energy so they can keep fighting.
That's so important. It's about more than just surviving cancer, it's about thriving.
Exactly. It's about giving people the best possible quality of life, even while they're going through treatment.
This could be a real game changer for cancer patients struggling with cachexia.
It really could. It's about giving them back a sense of control and empowerment.
But weren't you about to say something about caveats?
Oh, right. As with most new treatments, there are always a few things to keep in mind.
Okay, what are the caveats here?
Well, this was a relatively small study, so we need larger trials to confirm these findings.
Makes sense. We need to see if the results hold up in a bigger group of people.
Exactly. But even with that caveat, this is still a very exciting development.
Absolutely. It gives a lot of hope to people facing this really challenging complication.
Okay, let's shift gears now to something that's often overlooked in healthcare. Mental health.
Oh yeah, mental health is so important. It's a crucial part of overall well-being.
It is, and it's especially important for people dealing with chronic illnesses.
You can have the best medical treatments in the world, but if you're struggling mentally and emotionally, it's going to impact your recovery.
Absolutely. And a new study has really highlighted how critical community-based mental health services can be for people living with chronic conditions.
Community-based, okay, so they're bringing mental health care directly to the people who need it.
Exactly. It's about making it easier for people to access the support they need.
And what did the study find?
They found that when mental health professionals are integrated into primary care settings and community organizations, it dramatically improves access to care.
That makes so much sense. It's about meeting people where they are, rather than making them jump through hoops to get the help they need.
Right, and it's about reducing the stigma associated with mental health issues.
A lot of people still feel uncomfortable talking about their mental health, especially in a traditional medical setting.
Yeah, and this integrated approach can help break down those barriers.
It's about creating a more holistic and supportive environment.
And the study also found that this integrated approach leads to better health outcomes overall.
So it's not just good for mental health, it's good for physical health, too.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation.
Now that's what I like to hear.
Okay, now we're going to dive into something that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible with artificial intelligence in medicine.
Oh, AI. That's a hot topic these days.
It is. And this new development is pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, I'm ready to be mind blown. Tell me everything.
Researchers have developed something called a generalist biomedical AI.
A generalist biomedical AI.
Sounds intriguing. But what does that even mean?
It's essentially an AI that can analyze and integrate insights from multiple types of medical data.
So instead of just looking at one piece of the puzzle, it can see the whole picture.
That's the idea. It can analyze text, images, genomic data, you name it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. It's like having a team of specialists all rolled into one. Exactly. And by connecting the dots across all these different sources of information, it can uncover hidden patterns and relationships that might be missed by human experts.
So it's like having a superpowered detective working behind the scenes, constantly analyzing your medical data.
That's a great way to put it.
And what are the potential implications of this kind of technology?
Well, it could revolutionize pretty much everything in medicine.
Okay, give me some examples.
Imagine researchers using this AI to sift through mountains of data to identify new drug targets or predict disease outbreaks.
That's amazing. It could accelerate scientific discovery and potentially save countless lives.
And picture doctors using it to make faster and more accurate diagnoses.
So it could help people get the right treatment sooner.
Exactly. And it could also personalize treatment plans based on a patient's unique genetic makeup.
That's personalized medicine at its finest, tailoring treatment to each individual's specific needs.
It's really exciting.
It is, but I imagine there are also some ethical considerations we need to address.
Oh, absolutely. AI is a powerful tool, And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
So we need to make sure it's used responsibly.
Exactly. We need to ensure responsible development, address data privacy concerns, and make sure the algorithms are free from bias.
Right, we don't want AI to perpetuate existing inequalities in healthcare.
And human oversight and critical thinking will always be essential, even in the age of AI.
It's a partnership, not a replacement.
Okay, let's shift gears now to a public health crisis that's been devastating communities across the globe. The opioid epidemic.
Oh, the opioid epidemic, that's a heartbreaking issue.
It is, and it's affecting people from all walks of life.
It's a reminder that addiction doesn't discriminate.
Absolutely. And a new report has provided some valuable insights into a harm reduction approach that's showing some promise.
Harm reduction, okay, tell me more.
This report focuses on the first year of operation of 2 overdose prevention centers, or OPCs, in New York City.
OPCs, I've heard of those, but I'm not really sure how they work.
They're basically safe consumption sites.
Ah, so it's a place where people can use drugs under medical supervision.
Exactly. It's about reducing the risk of overdose and connecting people to the help they need.
It's about meeting people where they are rather than judging them or turning them away.
And did the report find that these centers were effective?
The data from the first year were very encouraging.
That's great to hear. What did they find specifically?
Well, they found that these OPCs were effective in preventing fatal overdoses. That's amazing. They're literally saving lives.
And they also reduced public drug use.
So they're making communities safer, too.
Yep. And perhaps most importantly, they're connecting people to essential health and social services.
So it's not just about preventing overdoses, it's about addressing the underlying issues that lead to drug use.
It's a holistic approach that recognizes that addiction is a complex issue that requires compassion and support.
I love that. It's about treating people with dignity and respect, regardless of their struggle.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that everyone deserves a chance to get better.
Okay, what's next on our list of medical marvels?
This next breakthrough is in the field of type 1 diabetes.
Type 1 diabetes, that's a tough one, especially for kids.
It is, but there's some really exciting news coming from the world of automated insulin delivery systems.
Automated insulin delivery systems, that sounds high-tech.
It is. They're essentially like an artificial pancreas.
Wow, that's amazing. So it's like a device that automatically controls blood sugar levels.
You got it. And a new study called Copilot focused on kids and young adults with type 1 diabetes.
Ah, so they're targeting the group that often has the hardest time managing their diabetes.
Exactly. And they were specifically looking at people who were having trouble controlling their blood sugar.
So they wanted to see if these automated systems could make a difference.
Yep. And the results were pretty impressive.
Okay, I'm curious, what did they find?
They found that the automated insulin delivery system they tested led to significant improvements in blood sugar control.
So their blood sugar was more stable.
Exactly. And it also increased the amount of time people spent in the target glucose range, which means their blood sugar was staying at a healthy level more consistently.
That's fantastic. That can make a huge difference in their day-to-day lives.
It can. It gives them more freedom and less worry.
But were there any downsides, any safety concerns?
Nope, none at all. It seems like a really safe and effective way to manage type 1 diabetes.
That's amazing. It feels like we're getting closer and closer to a cure.
It does feel that way. But even if it's not a cure, it's a huge step towards making life easier for people with this condition.
Absolutely. It's about giving them back their freedom and independence.
But I know you're thinking about caveats, right?
Haha, you know me too well. There are always some nuances to consider.
So what are the things we need to keep in mind about this study? Well, this study involved frequent contact between the research team and the participants.
So they were getting a lot of support and guidance.
Yep. So we need to be cautious about extrapolating these results to the real world.
Right. It's not clear if people would see the same level of benefit without that extra support.
That's a fair point.
But it's still a very promising development.
Absolutely. These automated insulin delivery systems hold so much potential for people with type 1 diabetes.
It's exciting to see how this technology is evolving and how it's going to improve people's lives in the years to come.
Okay, ready for a bit of a mouthful. This next breakthrough is for a condition called transthyretin amyloidosis with cardiomyopathy.
Whoa, that's a mouthful. You're going to have to break that down for me.
No problem. It's often shortened to ATTRCM.
ATTRCM, okay, that's a bit easier.
So ATTRCM is a rare and progressive disease where a protein called transthyretin misfolds and starts to build up in the heart.
Misfolds, what does that mean?
It's basically like the protein gets bent out of shape.
And why is that a problem?
Well, when these misfolded proteins accumulate in the heart, they cause it to stiffen.
A stiff heart? That doesn't sound good.
It's not good. It makes it harder for the heart to pump blood effectively.
Oh, so it's like the heart is slowly being encased in this abnormal protein.
That's a good way to visualize it.
Yeah.
And eventually, it can lead to heart failure.
This sounds like a very serious condition.
It is, but a new RNA interference therapeutic called vutrisiran is offering a glimmer of hope for patients.
RNA interference. That's a pretty fancy term.
It is, but it's actually a really elegant concept.
Okay, break it down for me. How does it work?
Think of it this way. Imagine you have a faulty blueprint that's causing a machine to malfunction.
Okay, I'm following.
RNA interference is like targeting and destroying that faulty blueprint so the machine can start working properly again.
I get it. So in this case, the faulty blueprint is the gene that produces the transthyretin protein.
Exactly. And vutrisiran is like a tiny little assassin that goes in and silences that gene.
So it stops the production of the harmful protein?
You got it. And by doing that, it prevents the protein from building up in the heart.
So it's a preventative approach rather than trying to clean up the mess after it's already been made.
Exactly. And the results of a trial called Helios-B were pretty impressive.
Okay, tell me more. I'm always up for some good news.
They found that vutrisiran significantly reduced the risk of death from any cause.
That's huge. It's literally saving lives.
And it also reduced the risk of recurrent cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes.
Wow, it's a 2-for-1 deal, protecting people from both death and disability.
It really is. And it's not just about survival, it's also about quality of life.
Right. What good is living longer if you're not able to enjoy those extra years?
And that's another encouraging finding from this trial. Vutrisiran also helped improve functional capacity and quality of life for patients.
So it's not just about adding years to life, it's about adding life to years.
Exactly. It's about helping people live well, even in the face of a serious illness.
This is such a beacon of hope for people with ATTR-CM.
It really is. It shows that even for rare and challenging diseases, there's always hope for new and better treatments.
Okay, we've covered so much ground already. It's amazing how many incredible breakthroughs are happening in the world of medicine.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? The pace of progress is truly astounding.
It makes you wonder what the future holds.
Right. What will be possible in 10 years? In 20 years?
It's exciting and a little bit daunting to think about.
But I think one thing is clear. The future of medicine is bright.
I agree. There's so much innovation happening, so much potential to improve people's lives.
Okay, are you ready for our grand finale? This last breakthrough is truly extraordinary.
Bring it on. I'm ready to be amazed.
This study is all about pushing the limits of human potential.
Human potential? That sounds philosophical.
It is in a way, but it's also grounded in science.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
This research focused on people who have achieved extraordinary feats of physical and mental endurance.
Like ultramarathon runners and Olympic athletes?
Exactly. People who push their bodies and minds to the absolute limit.
So they're studying the superheroes of the real world. That's a good way to put it. And what they found is that these individuals share a common trait.
Okay, what is it? What's their secret?
They have an exceptional ability to tap into their inner resources.
Inner resources? What does that even mean?
It's about being able to access a state of flow and focus that allows them to transcend perceived limitations.
So it's not just about physical strength or mental toughness. It's about something deeper, something within their minds and spirits.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of the mind-body connection.
That's fascinating. And what did the study conclude about this ability?
They suggest that this ability to access a state of flow isn't some mystical gift.
So it's not something you're born with.
Right. They believe it's a skill that can be cultivated through practice and training.
That's amazing. So it's not about being superhuman. It's about unlocking the hidden potential that exists within each of us.
Exactly. What an empowering message. It means that we're all capable of achieving incredible things if we tap into our inner strength and resilience. I love that. It's about embracing a growth mindset, believing in our capacity for change and adaptation, and recognizing that the limits we perceive are often self-imposed.
So the key takeaway here is that we're far more powerful than we often realize.
We have the power to overcome challenges, achieve our goals, and live truly extraordinary lives.
This has been such an incredible journey. I'm blown away by all the amazing discoveries and innovations happening in the world of medicine.
Me too. It's truly an exciting time to be alive.
And it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
Who knows what incredible breakthroughs await us in the future?
I can't wait to find out. It's incredible, right?
It really is. It makes you realize just how much potential we all have within us.
We're capable of so much more than we often give ourselves credit for.
It's about pushing those boundaries, both physically and mentally.
And this research shows us that those boundaries are often much more flexible than we think.
It's a powerful reminder that we can achieve amazing things when we set our minds to it.
And that's a great note to end on, don't you think?
It is a message of hope and empowerment.
Wow, what a journey it's been. We've explored the frontiers of medical science.
We've seen breakthroughs that are changing lives.
And we've glimpsed the incredible potential of human ingenuity and compassion.
It's been an honor to share these discoveries with you.
It really has, and I hope our listeners are feeling as inspired and optimistic as I am.
I hope so too. Because this is just the beginning, the world of medicine is constantly evolving.
There are always new frontiers to explore, new challenges to overcome.
And new possibilities to imagine.
So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged in the conversation about health and well-being.
Because together we can create a future where everyone has the chance to live a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life.
That's a beautiful vision, and I believe it's a vision worth striving for.
Absolutely. It's a future worth fighting for.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the most notable medical advances of 2024.
It's been a pleasure exploring these breakthroughs with you.
And until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those hearts hopeful.